Hey, Carl, now that Pulsar Security is going to be sponsoring the podcast directly, you want to hear the ad copy that we came up with?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, get ready for this. In a world full of security challenges.
No. We can't say in a world.
Come on, that sounds perfect.
You think we should?
It's like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie
You
cliche.
think we should leave it open for services on Mars? Is that what you're saying? I mean,
you can't.
Okay.
All right, just go ahead and read the rest of it.
Can I say in a world or no?
Go for it. I don't care.
In a world full of security challenges, trust is everything.
Well, that's true.
At Pulsar Security, we are enabling organizations to thrive safely in an ever-changing digital world.
Yeah.
Our experts conduct cutting-edge cybersecurity services, ensuring your business stays one step ahead of threats.
All good.
Experience peace of mind as we deliver robust solutions tailored to your needs. Your security is our priority. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Choose Pulsar Security for a safer tomorrow. Visit us at pulsarsecurity.com. Empower your digital journey with confidence. Security starts here.
Okay. I like everything but
Okay.
in a world.
It worked for Batman.
I do like to
This
dress
is
dark and in
serious.
hoodies.
Now, this is serious stuff here, man. You're talking about keeping companies safe.
Yeah, we are talking about that.
Like
don't wanna
cyber superheroes. Come on, Carl.
Conjure up images of the predator, you know?
Well, we should have done this from the start. So now we are officially sponsoring Security This Week by Pulsar Security.
Well, good luck with your ad.
Thanks.
Hey, guys, yesterday I ate this huge piece of cake. The cake was made to look like a grandfather clock.
Oh.
Yeah, it was time-consuming.
Neat.
But I did go back for seconds. Patrick, aren't you going to chime in?
No.
Boom. See what I did there?
I don't have time for this.
Oh, there it is.
Wait a minute. So how are you guys?
Good.
Fantastic.
Besides
How are
Fuzzy.
you? I know, right?
What have you heard?
Well,
Yeah.
I think Riverside, which is a platform we're using, is having some bandwidth problems. It's definitely
Some
not
fuzzy
us.
issues?
Well, we all have faces for radio, so
Yeah, we don't
Right.
show our
So it's
faces
okay.
usually, but we can see each other, and Dwayne looks like a big pixelated fuzz patch.
That's for security reasons. I
yes,
can't have you
Wait a
see
minute.
what I'm working on.
he's redacted.
I'm definitely redacted.
All right, let's get into it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories, and we'll save the big one for last. But let's start with China
Ooh,
and the U.S. This is from Reuters. The U.S. disabled a Chinese hacking network targeting critical infrastructure. What happened?
so the U.S. government is basically warning that China has been trying to infiltrate systems that are used for water and power and everything else, infrastructure systems for years. And in some cases, they've been successful and been able to lay in wait. But they've caught them and eradicated one of these networks and took out some hardware, patched some hardware, and they're doing things to clean this up. Now, let's look at Occam's razor. You guys know Occam's razor. It's
the simplest solution.
the simplest explanation.
Yeah, explanation tends to be the right one.
Yeah. Do you think the U.S. just is that much nicer that we don't hack the Chinese and we don't do any of these things to them?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay. That's the most likely explanation. I think it's very likely that we and they all do the same things. We try to get in a position where we're ready in case the balloon goes up, in case they're belligerent. And they do the same thing. The difference is they keep getting caught.
Yeah.
And they get caught a lot. And that's good because we want to catch them. We want to get them out of our networks, and we want to have our systems more secure. But it also raises the bell of, oh my gosh, they're probably still in there, and they might very well be. But it raises the level, and that what does not kill you makes you stronger. And so every time this happens, we raise the threat level. We add more money to the pot to go and check for this stuff, and we look for it. But you really never hear, and you know, China would make a big stink if they found us in their middle of their networks, because it's happened maybe once or twice before. They made a big stink about Messi not playing in a game in Hong Kong and then playing in Japan the next day. So they would be noisy about it, but they don't hear about them. So I think it's more a lack of sophistication on their part. They get caught a lot. as opposed to they're just doing it so much more that we're catching them.
Now, there is another issue here, and I don't have a link, but if I find one, I'll tack it on to the end. But I was listening to an interview with somebody who did a security review of some of these, water plants that had been attacked. And a lot of them use the same kind of computer systems. And it turns out that like a whopping 20%, and don't quote me on that, but it was a high percentage of them, the default passwords had never been changed. And it was just like unbelievable. And I'm sitting there thinking, these people don't listen to Security This Week.
Oh yeah,
I know.
Clearly.
Every pen test we've done, yes, every pen test we've done has had a default credential. I'm just saying.
All they have
It's
to
not
do is
just water
download it
treatment
onto their
plant.
Zune. They just have to download it onto their Zune.
All right. What's a Zune, Grandpa?
About $150. It comes in brown.
It's about
Comes in
$5
Poopy
at a
brown.
yard
That's
sale.
the only color.
Poopy Brown Zune.
So anyway,
Actually, it got a revival in the Guardians of the Galaxy. He got a Zune. Remember that?
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Did you
right.
guys say it? Yeah.
I still have mine.
I still have mine.
All right. So here's the story. So yes, we have lacking security in our infrastructure. And yes, the Chinese are hacking us. Yes, the U.S. is hacking the Chinese. Yes, the Chinese are getting caught. What does it mean to you? I don't know. Get some popcorn, sit back and watch. I mean, unless you're actually involved in some of this infrastructure and you can do something about it.
Every time a story like this comes out, I think it does move the needle a little bit better for us, because some of these systems that were detected to have have the wrong password will be fixed. Right. Maybe not all of them. Maybe there'll still be like 1% out there in a place where somebody's brother-in-law got the position to run the system through nepotism. But it does make us stronger. Like the ransomware, I hate the fact that ransomware has been hitting and pelting us, but ransomware has been responsible for us locking things down a lot over the last 10 years that we might not have done otherwise. So again, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. And so I think we're more resilient now for cyber attack than any of the people we might be fighting against.
Right. And especially listeners of Security This Week, right?
Amen.
All right. So let's talk Cloudflare.
All right. Hey,
Absolutely.
Before we do, I have an update.
Okay.
You know the Zune?
Yeah.
Just did a quick eBay search.
Okay.
They sell for $150 up to $25,000.
Come on.
What?
Yeah. If you have a new inbox Zune, it is anywhere around, normally around $10,000. But
I don't have one
a
of those.
working Zune.
Mine's at work.
A working Zune, mine is too. Even out of the box is $180.
Wow.
That's more than I think it listed for when we got it.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't have mine anymore. And if I did, the battery's dead. So
yeah, I turned mine on like a month ago.
You
Powered
did
it up. And I was like,
not.
oh, look at all the music.
Really?
I did. Absolutely 100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to give it to the kids because they're fans of the movies. But
Guardians of the Galaxy.
yep.
All right. Cloudflare.
Cool.
What happened?
Cloudflare. Okay, so this one is Cloudflare disclosed, and I'm super impressed with Cloudflare in many different ways, but we'll explain why. So Cloudflare was hacked using auth tokens that were stolen in an Okta attack.
Okay.
So there's a lot, I guess, to unpack.
Yeah, let's start with Okta.
Let's have that again in English.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a friend, Okta, from Minnesota.
No, you don't.
I do. Yeah,
Oh.
Okta and Ollie.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm kidding.
That's cool.
Totally kidding.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I believed you for a second, Carl.
All right, what the hell is Okta?
Okay, Okta is it's a think authentication provider.
Right.
So it's something that you go to log into a system and you can use them as a single sign-on / multi-factor authentication system to get into different systems. Well, in this particular case, Cloudflare was using Okta, it appears, for their Confluence, Jira, and Bitbucket software. And in the big Okta breach in October, Cloudflare did not rotate their keys out on those servers. So what had happened is the keys from the Okta breach get out, and then some nation state decided, let's test out Cloudflare. Sure enough, they could break in there, and that's not the impressive part. I mean, shoot, Okta probably has thousands of authentication keys that they'd need to rotate out and whatnot. And it's pretty hard for them to cycle them all out.
I ask my kids at least once a week, did you rotate your keys this week? Because if you didn't, you're in trouble.
Unbelievable.
Gotta rotate the keys.
The impressive part here is November 14th, the attackers accessed the Confluence system. November 14th.
Okay.
So an average exploit on the internet, let's say we gain access to a system.
Yeah.
On average, it takes 8 months-ish for somebody to find us.
Yeah.
So if we break into most companies in the world, it takes about 8 months for them to go, oh, wow, somebody's here. Okta, November 14th was the break-in. November 23rd, they found them.
Oh, wow.
That's soon. That's good.
That's fast. Yeah. Like a lot of people... Yeah, and I put it in context because a lot of people might be like, oh my God, that was like a week they were in there. That's insane, a long time. And it's really not. That is super fast to find an attacker in your networks. Yeah.
Wow.
So good for them.
Yeah, good
for them for discovering it so quickly.
So what do we do? If we're using Cloudflare, do we want to make sure we get a patch?
Nah, this shouldn't matter to the general user. And this is one of the reasons we want to bring this story up, because you hear Cloudflare and a lot of people are protecting their web applications behind Cloudflare. And, Cloudflare does a lot of DDoS protection and that sort of stuff. And a lot of people might be like, oh my gosh, did they gain special access to my servers or something along those lines? And not really. This is more of, Okta found it relatively quickly. They assessed the damages. There wasn't really much that needed to be done by the general user, and it really didn't affect their users at all. So, so if you do hear about this Cloudflare thing and you are using Cloudflare, continue to use them because they're a fantastic product.
Okay. Let's talk about QNAP. QNAP sounds like one of those, devices that sits on your desk and has like a whole bunch of hard drives in it that you back things up to. What is QNAP anyway?
It is a device that sits on your desk and has a whole bunch of hard drives in it that you connect to. You're absolutely right.
I knew that sounded familiar.
Yeah, it's an NAS. It's you have the device that you want to share disk out or back up your local computers to or whatever. So you just plug it into the network and it's up and running.
So there were some high severity bugs in their operating system, QTS and QSync Central, that they patched.
Yes.
But
this is all patched, but these are pretty high. I mean, most of these were successful exploitation, gives you complete control over the device. So you absolutely want to go out and make sure if you're using a QNAP patch. I mean, the other thing that I still boggles my mind is the fact that we see things like SQL injection vulnerabilities still out there.
Yeah.
One of these is a SQL injection vulnerability.
Oh man.
It happens.
And this is a Soho NAS, a small office, home office NAS, network attached storage. Synology is another vendor that would be in the same space.
Yeah, we talked about them recently in our backup rants.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. What horrifies me is when people put these on the internet and they don't really think about whether that's needed or not. Because I'd much rather see you have a VPN to your router or your firewall, and then you use it on your local network, than to see you broadcast that and make it accessible over the internet. I think that's a mistake.
That's a big mistake.
And I think if you didn't have it set up that way, I think these bugs would be much less impactful.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like if you just put a QNAP on your home network, nobody has access to. You're not accessing it over the internet. You're just backing things up to it. I mean, the risk there is, somebody connects to your Wi-Fi. They could exploit it, I suppose. But there's other things you're going to do. Or somebody comes to your house and plugs in, I guess. But really, if it's not accessible, you're probably okay.
They got to be local, as opposed to in Malaysia, and they can connect because you've left it on the internet.
Oh, don't bring up Malaysia. Let's not bring up Malaysia.
Well, and also, it shouldn't be on the guest network. It should be on your
Ixnay on the Malaysia May.
All right, I don't know what you guys are
still
talking
mad
about,
at me.
But
I'm pretty sure they're still mad at me.
Why did you pee in a fountain or something?
No,
He got on a list.
I got on
Did
a
you
list.
litter?
I got on a watch list. No. All right. So
Spit cum on the sidewalk.
long story short.
Okay.
When we were doing code camps, right? Do you remember code camps?
And mobility days.
Mobility days. Microsoft said, "Hey, we'd love to do a mobile session on cryptography."
Okay.
So I said, "Great, I'll design one." And I designed this cryptography
This was
session.
20 years ago, by the way.
Yeah. I designed this crypto session around how you would take mobile phones and a SQL server to a sporting event and scalp tickets,
Oh,
and
man.
everybody could have their
Just
mobile
as a
phone.
sample app.
Yeah, and they could
Just as a
sell
sample app.
tickets, and I would know whether Patrick sold a ticket or whatever, and it was fully encrypted. And I walked through all the encrypted platform and encrypted communications and all that.
So
good
they
stuff,
didn't
and how
like
we'd
that
encrypt
for
it in the
some
SQL
reason.
server and that sort of stuff. Malaysia picked up my presentation from Microsoft's
Because it was
website.
posted.
Because it was posted on Microsoft's website.
Okay.
And said, look how horrible America is, look how horrible Dwayne is, blah, blah,
So
blah.
wait, now when you
needless to
say
if-
Malaysia,
got put on
do
a
you
wax
mean
list.
a Malaysian?
The nation.
Or
No,
the
no,
nation?
the
the
nation.
government of.
The government of. And then a friend of ours went for his security clearance, and they asked him only questions about, how do you know Dwayne?
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, what did you do?
That's great.
And so we think we've gotten the U.S. to basically discard that list and not consider him a terrorist, but we don't know that Malaysia has dropped that list yet, so he's not going there anytime
I don't think so.
Oh, man.
But there was a course of a year where anytime I flew somewhere, I was always the random person that got pulled out to get searched. Like even if it was a connecting flight, like I get searched in Boston and I would land at JFK and they'd be like, "Sir, we need to search you." I'm like, what could I have done on the plane? Like, seriously, you guys just searched me for about a year until I got cleared.
So that reminds me, I went to Texas de Brazil, a steakhouse in Hartford with my friend the other day, and it was his birthday. And so, any special occasions? Yeah, it's his birthday. Oh, great. So the maitre d' came around and he said, and because it's your birthday, you get a free dessert. And he goes, oh, cool. And then about halfway through the meal, the manager comes over and says, yeah, about that free dessert, I'm sorry, but we just changed the policy today and there'll be no free desserts.
Aww. Happy birthday to him.
So that's
and
like
I'm
that,
thinking to
that
myself, what am I on a
Simpsons episode.
list or something? What
You are.
is this,
You are. Sorry, sir.
Does he have BO?
No dessert for you.
One more segue. Did you ever see the Simpsons episode where Homer goes to the all-you-can-eat restaurant run by the ship's captain and they kick him out because he's eating too much fish? Did you ever see that one?
I haven't seen that one. No.
But on the way out, did they say,
Homer sues
well, that's
them.
all you can eat?
Yeah.
No, Homer sues them because they missed for false representation, and they get Marge on the stand and said, "Mr. Simpson, what did you do after you left the restaurant?" She says, "Well, we went home." He's like, "Mrs. Simpson, you're under oath," and she's like, We looked around for another hour for another all-you-can-eat fish restaurant, and then when you couldn't find one, we went fishing.
That's great. Okay, where the heck were we? Are we done with the QNAP thing? It was patched. Go get a patch, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's patched.
Yeah, but
If you have a
the
QNAP, go
lesson
patch.
is don't put stuff on the internet that doesn't need to be on the internet.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. 100%. Like, I mean,
like anything except web pages.
Yeah, I have a Synology here, but I don't I know, but I don't put FileStation on the internet, so I can access files over the internet. Just I have a VPN, I VPN it, and I use it that way. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this next story we're going to wait until after the break, but you should have seen Dwayne's reaction when it was posted in Slack. We'll be right back after this very important message or two. Stay with us. And we're back. I'm Carl Franklin. You're listening to Security This Week, and that's Patrick Hines and Dwayne LaFlotte. And so one of your guys posted this as a story. Hackers steal data of 2 million in SQL injection, XSS, meaning cross-site scripting attacks. And your response was hilarious. He's like, that's not hacking.
Cross-site scripting.
Well, yeah, it's funny. So, okay. All right. So they go through these attackers, air quotes, these attackers go through and they broke into and they stole 2 million job seekers information, compromising 65 legitimate job listings through SQL injection and cross-site scripting. I got super excited.
Okay.
I was like, I love to learn new techniques, like new tools, new things, right?
This is state
Cutting
of the art,
edge.
Dwayne, given it's 2004 right now.
Right, I know,
This
right?
is state of the art.
State of the art. And then I started to go through it, and then they're like, "Hey, and the phase of this, they use some open source tools." I'm like, I love open source tools, right? This is awesome. Something new just came out I haven't heard of. Like, I'm looking for something I can use. And they're like SQL Map, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's all right. That's okay. That's a great tool. It's fantastic. It's not new.
Been around
That's-
for a while.
That's fine. And then they came to Beef.
The Beef framework.
The
Beef
Beef
framework.
And
Exploit
Dwayne-
web browser
And
vulnerabilities.
Dwayne says no one uses Beef. They aren't real hackers. It's like that scene in the Australia guy. That's not a knife. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a knife.
You're like, oh, I thought he had a knife. Oh.
Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah. And then I walked away from the article. I was like, no.
So the story is that
Mic drop.
these guys were using old tools and old techniques.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that some things were compromised because they weren't up to speed with their security protection.
Yeah, which honestly just it makes it even sadder.
Right.
Like if I got compromised and data got leaked from a site I owned, I would want it to be like 15 teams had to spend 5 months each working on 0 days in reverse engineering software just to get my site. Like you're like,
Right.
all right, cool, awesome. You know what? I couldn't
awesome.
have protected against that. That's pretty much.
As opposed to, I tried the door and it was unlocked.
As opposed to, I found this technique from 18 years ago and I decided to test it.
So to track with what I was saying from that first story about China, this is the Telegram accounts associated with this group use Chinese names. So it's very likely these are Chinese hackers.
Okay.
That means nothing. When I hack, I use Chinese. No.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I mean, it's possible to look this way. If you're going to do a false flag, you're going to use better tools.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
You're going to be more impressive.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So that was just a little comedy relief. And there's really nothing anybody can do about it other than laugh, right?
Yeah, other than maybe protect your websites, people, like it's 1999.
Yeah.
Because it would have stopped these attacks.
All right. So this is a story about BitLocker. I'll read the headline, then we'll talk about it. BitLocker encryption broken in 43 seconds with a below $10 Raspberry Pi Pico, which is a key that can be sniffed when using an external TPM.
Yeah.
Yes.
So BitLocker is Windows encryption, right? It's how you can lock bits on your, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's super accessible drive locking, drive encryption. So I can take any Windows computer, Windows 10, Windows 11, whatever, and I can go and just turn on BitLocker. And when I do that, I as a user don't notice any difference. Right? The computer still boots. I can still use it like normal.
Might be a little slower, right?
But if somebody were to... honestly,
Depending on your...
the way that they load things, it's really not anymore, especially with NVMEs. But it used to be with spinning disks, yeah. But now, what would happen is, let's say I left my laptop in the back of my car and somebody broke the window and stole it, right? Well, they can't log into it because they don't have my username and password. But if they pull the hard drive out, well, they could read all my data. But if it's BitLockered, then they can't.
Then it's just encrypted.
Because it's an encrypted
it's like
drive.
ransomwaring yourself.
All right.
Right. But you know what the key is. It's your password.
So we need to understand what TPM is. I know we've talked about it before, but some people still might not know.
Trust Platform Module.
So this is something that you turn on in the BIOS?
So a trusted platform module is usually a piece of hardware.
Okay.
Sometimes it's built into the chips that are in the processor itself. Sometimes there's external TPMs that will manage the keys. It literally just does key management. And when you need to unlock the drive, it goes to the TPM and says, hey, can you give me the keys to unlock the drive so that this drive can now boot?
It's a chip-based vault.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
A chip-based secret vault.
And it's supposed to be designed in a way that you can't get the keys out of it. And like this is a little bit misleading, and it says, encryption broken, and it was broken, but it wasn't cracked, which is entirely different. Cracking the encryption would be somebody could brute force the key. And in this case, they didn't. All they do was take this little Raspberry Pico, which is awesome. It's a tiny little $10 device. You can see in the picture that we'll attach to the link here, they attach some, those pins on the end are pogo pins. They're little spring-loaded pins. And they just push it down on the leads that go from the external TPM to the processor. So when the processor goes to make a request for the key, the key is transmitted in clear text.
They're eavesdropping.
So they're watching it as it goes by.
I'm amazed that there are exposed leads on the motherboard that somebody could just press something like this onto. I mean, hardware security, that's where it starts.
So we're the designers of the system.
But you know what's funny?
So we're the designers of the system.
Right. Do you know when the first time I saw this attack was? This style of grabbing keys as they go through?
1982.
Nope. It was 1997, maybe?
Okay.
99.
Yeah.
It's when the Xbox first started using encryption of their drives.
Mm-hmm.
They used to send the key to unlock the drives and games and validate the drive, so you couldn't load an external game to the drive.
Wow.
They used to send it from an early version of the TPM, and the first Xbox hackers and modders had a chip that you could put in there that would read the key on its way by, and then on the way back to the verification would say, yeah, the verification is good.
Yeah, that's
so this method is an old method, but still works,
now,
which is fantastic.
Now with the external TPM, you might have a laptop that was built by a manufacturer like Dell or whoever, and it has an external TPM inside the system. We're not talking about something that's attached to a USB or so most systems have an external TMP. They don't have one baked in to the CPU or to anything else. And that's the problem. Physical access is really a trump card in hacking. If I can get physical access to a system, you might be able to keep me back. The TPM's whole idea is to keep you back. And that's why, the military requires it.
Yeah.
Government requires it. But, it's a game of cat and mouse implementation. And circumnavigation.
So do you think Microsoft's response will be to increase the, strengthen BitLocker, the BitLocker encryption, or does it not matter?
Nah, it doesn't matter. Honestly, it's the manufacturer of the hardware. In this particular case, he was breaking into a Lenovo laptop. Okay. But in the manufacturer of the hardware needs to make sure that they don't leave leads exposed, available that you can just... Right, exactly. So when you're designing like military hardware, they'll go as far as like... they won't allow any JTAG ports, which are debugging ports on the motherboard. They won't allow any leads for spy communications, and that's SPI.
And there's things you can coat these lines in so that you can't remove it without destroying the...
Yeah, absolutely. Like I know in the military, they will literally like dip a board in resin.
I was thinking something like
that's
that.
Black, so you can't read any of the components, and if you do try and strip it off, it destroys the... Right? So there are things the hardware manufacturers can do to make this much, much harder to do in the future.
You could put it in a barrel of oil. Good luck with that, hackers.
You know what's funny is if you were to take your computer and take the motherboard and all the components and dip it in an entire tank of mineral oil.
Yeah, it would run fine.
It would run just fine.
In fact, it'd be great because it would be cool. It would use the oil to cool itself.
You could cycle the mineral oil through and keep it nice and cool.
Just don't use water.
It does not conduct electricity.
Okay?
Just don't use water.
I have mineral oil, so I use mineral water.
Hey, I was listening to security this week, and they said I could dip it in mineral water. Put it in
Got a whole fish tank of mineral water.
My fish didn't love it.
It kind of made a snapping, crackling sound, and then it just died. Oof. All right, so have we had enough of fun with that one, BitLocker?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, if you think it's safe... Guess again. Fortinet, Double Trouble Replay for Fortinet as it reissues critical FortiCM vulnerabilities. So good it posted them twice. What happened here?
I know, Jesus. So FortiSIM is, and this. What's interesting about this is these are the CVSS scores of 10, so super high on the new scale.
Like you just look at it and it's breached,
right, and it falls over. And part of
so. Let's talk about what a SIM is, because FortiSIM is FortiSIEM, and we pronounce that last part SIM.
FortiSIM,
even though it's got an E in it. Yeah. So
although for years people pronounce it SIEM, but
it's a product, right?
The uninitiated. No, it's a class of software. It's a security information and event manager.
Okay. But
and so basically
FortiSIM is a product by Fortinet. Okay.
Right. But a CIM was a security information manager, basically alerts. It would like take logging information and then they added events to it, but they decided not to change the pronunciation in the hacker community. So
it's still a SIM.
A lot of times if someone's just like starting to work in this industry, they'll call it a SIEM.
Okay.
But everyone calls it a SIM.
So
FortiSIM is their product for catching these problems. And the good news is they provided 210s right out of the gate. That was very nice of them.
They caught those two problems right in the face.
So when you guys are interviewing people to join your team, is the first question, how do you pronounce this word?
Because if they get it right, we got too many bad habits to break, so we need to restart over. It's just something if you've been in the industry for a while and you're trying to self-teach, it's something you can't really pick up from the books because you'll be like, oh, it's a seam. No, and it's really about the old guys like us having sway. No, we still call it a SIM. I don't know why we do.
Even though that makes no sense whatsoever.
You whippersnippers?
Not at all.
Get out of here. Yeah. You snapper whappers.
I might be out of the Illuminati now that I shared that secret.
I know you did.
You never know.
Now you're going to get kicked out at our next
annual
meeting.
They can't get the votes. They can't get the votes.
All in favor? All right. So what does that mean? If you, is it patched?
Yeah, it's patched. You can go out if you have FortiSIM, just go out and patch it. Right now, if you don't, it's not a complex attack. So that's why it got such a high rating. It's just because it's easy to exploit and get control over the system. And you get OS command vulnerability. So it's literally injecting commands into the system. So you want to go out and patch.
All right. I guess that brings us to our clickbait story. This is a blog post by our friend Troy Hunt. And Troy has the illustrious Have I Been Pwned website where you can go and enter your email address and it'll tell you whether or not your data has been breached. And probably it has.
Oh my God. Yeah, this story is great. I actually, a friend of mine, Kate, sent me this story and she's like, oh my God, I can't wait to hear your response to this article, which I hadn't seen yet. And I was like, oh, this is weird. Let's read through it.
Let's read the headline.
So it says how Spoutable's leaky API spurted out a deluge of personal data. Now, Spoutible, for those of you who don't know, was an up-and-coming sort of competitor to X when Twitter was all but a dumpster fire, which I think it still is, but whatever. So Twitter's falling apart, and then we started to see Mastodon, and we started to see all these other platforms. Well, Spoutible was another one that had a reasonable following of people.
Now you say had.
Still probably has. I have no idea. So somebody came to Troy and said, "Hey, Troy, this is weird. There's like this API that you can make a query to, and it gives you information about yourself, right?" And he was like, "Okay, cool, whatever." So he created an account and he made a query to the API, and sure enough, he saw his ID, right, 735525. He's like, "All right, that's cool." And it said username, and he said Troy Hunt. All right, that's cool. First name Troy, last name Hunt. It's like whatever. Great. About creator of Have I Been Pwned. Okay, awesome. Yep, sees a little bit of information. And then he sees his email address. And it says email. And then it says IP address from his house. And then his phone number. And then his gender. And he was like, okay, well, that's fine if only I can see that.
Yeah.
But through the API, you can request anybody's ID. So you can do what's called an IDOR, which is accessing other objects you shouldn't have access to. And you can just iterate it. Show me object 1, show me object 2, show me object 3. And as it starts returning it, he starts seeing other people's email addresses, phone numbers, and home IPs. Now that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Bad.
But you start digging through the API and it also sent out their password.
What?
In a bcrypt encryption, which takes seconds to decrypt. So you can pull down everybody's password and just decrypt them. And then
oh my God.
It's just a little bit better than the password in clear text. Just a little.
But you're like, wait, it's okay. Because Spoutible also has 2FA. So I got 2FA. So if I had my password compromised, they still can't log in. But the API, being a friendly API, will also hand you the 2FA backup codes.
Oh my God.
So that I can use those if I lose my 2FA, and will hand you the 2FA secret that you can just import into your 2FA app.
Good Lord.
And see what the codes are.
So apparently security wasn't very convenient for their customers.
Oh my God.
But you gotta give it to them. This is a complete API. You gotta say, right?
I mean, yeah, you didn't even need to hack it.
So Troy lists a URL here, a spoutible.com API URL, username equals Troy Hunt. And if you go there now, you're going to see just very little data. You're going to see a link to his avatar, his cover, his username, his ID, that he's not an owner, and, a couple of other little things, but you don't see any important information. I'm guessing that at the time of this publication, that when you did that, you would have seen everything.
Oh, yeah. So you would have seen everything with that link. And let's see, the timeline looks like February 4th was initial reach out to Spoutible for contact information. Response from Spoutible was February 4th, same day, 2 hours later. Full details provided to Spoutible about an hour after that. The API was fixed an hour after that.
Wow.
So they were really, really quick with going, oops, yeah, no, that's probably not a good idea, and pulling that information out, which was good.
Wow. Bcrypt.
However, 207,000 records had already been potentially scraped.
Wow.
With usernames and passwords and all sorts, and 2FA codes.
I'm so glad I never went there. I mean, Mastodon is pretty cool, and I like the architecture of Mastodon. That's why I joined it. I like the decentralized nature of it. I guess, I don't know if Spoutible is federated or centralized. It looks like it's centralized.
I think it's centralized.
I'm just not on that kind of social media site right now. I'll probably eventually end up on Mastodon. I can't see going back to X.
Yeah.
I'm on X.
I don't even open it.
I'm on X, but I only use it for the 14,000 or so fans that already follow me there, and that's all I see.
The people I followed are gone.
I have 12 people that follow me, and that's exciting. So I go to watch their updates, but that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's just a crazy story. I don't know what else to say about that.
It's the best story. I know. I got to say, Kate, awesome. That was an awesome one.
I'll be shaking my head in my sleep tonight. It's so bad.
Right?
All right, guys. I hope next week is as funny as this one was. So we'll see you then.
Awesome. Thanks.
Right, bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you next week.
Bye.